Hi, I'm Dr. Ramani Durvasula. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a professor of psychology at California State University, Los Angeles. I'm also a visiting professor at the University of Johannesburg. I'm licensed to practice in Los Angeles, California, and see clients there. And in addition, my work largely focuses on the impact of personality disorders, particularly narcissism and narcissistic personality styles, on close relationships and other relationships, including intergenerational patterns and workplace issues. My path to becoming a psychologist was actually a really circuitous one. It was never one of intention. It was a journey of personal curiosity. I'm the daughter of immigrant parents, and at the time I was growing up, that left me with more confusion than not. And so I think I wanted to understand my place in the world. I was fortunate because I went on to work with a brilliant group of researchers at Columbia University after I finished my degree at the University of Connecticut, which had a magnificent psychology department and really stoked my love for it. At Columbia, I got to see that work be put into practice in HIV research. I then spent a year at NYU and ended up getting my doctorate at the absolutely extraordinary clinical psych program at UCLA, which honestly cemented my training in the science of psychology. I had absolutely amazing mentorship, absolutely incredible experiences, both research and clinical. That culminated in a postdoc and internship at UCLA. And from there, I ended up becoming an academic at California State University, Los Angeles. And the beautiful part about that area of my career was two things happened. One, I got funded to do research on personality disorders. The National Institutes of Health funded my research specifically on personality disorders and HIV, but it really cultivated my love of the topic of personality disorders, and particularly disorders like narcissism and borderline personality. But at the same time, I got to do something incredible, which was to teach. And I got to teach such a diverse array of students at all different ages, ethnic groups, and personal backgrounds. I gotta tell you, if you can keep a group of undergraduates awake for an hour, you can keep anyone awake. And that really was what got me interested in education about anything related to mental health. And my students would approach me and say, Dr. Durvasula, thank you so much. Because actually what we're talking about in class is happening in my family. Someone in my family is living with PTSD, or has bipolar disorder, or is struggling with addiction. It was then I realized that the classroom was more just about taking exams, but it was taking mental health education and applying it to their real lives. And that also helped me realize how important this was in the world at large. At this point, I also was cultivating my own clinical career and working with clients individually. And that's really the other part of the love of my career, because you can talk and you can read and you can teach and you can do research endlessly. But at the end of the day, where the real magic happens is when you're sitting in a room with a client and hearing their concerns and really realizing psychotherapy works. The changes and benefits I have seen in my clients, how they've grown and done the hard work of therapy, that has singularly been one of the greatest privileges of my career. As I've expanded my career in psychology with a tremendous focus on narcissism and personality disorders, and with a real focus on narcissistic abuse, I also work with clients with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, adjustment disorders, substance use, and often the intersection of all of them. I also care deeply about other issues such as intersectionality, when multiple things come together in a person's life: race, ethnicity, culture, socioeconomic status, gender identity, sexual orientation, and how all of these things work together to impact a person's experience of their lives and of their mental health. And at this point, one of the great honors of my career is actually to work with MedCircle, because in MedCircle, they've really created an incredible platform that allows the education about mental health to expand just beyond my classrooms or my scientific presentations. This is a chance to educate the world at large about mental health, because if there's one thing we know about mental health is that people don't have enough information, and certainly not enough accurate information. We live in a time where talking about being in therapy or talking about mental illness is not considered to be appropriate dinner table conversation. To this day, even when I go home, it's not the kind of thing my parents, if I say, oh, I'm in therapy, and my parents will still be, after all these years, shh, you shouldn't be talking about that. We should be talking about this. This needs to get to the point, and MedCircle is an important tool in this network of us taking mental health and elevating it out of the shadows and making it a very comfortable topic for conversation. We should be able to talk about the fact that we're in therapy at the dinner table, or perhaps we are living currently with, or in the past have lived with mental illness. This is not something that should be so shrouded in stigma. And education platforms like MedCircle and just getting more knowledge about this can free so many people from the shame and shadows they live in because of mental illness. I consider it such a privilege to be a mental health professional, to be a psychologist, to be a professor, and to work with individuals not only in Los Angeles, but around the world, to not only understand the issues I'm interested in around narcissism, but also mental health as a whole. Thank you very much.